Your attention, please. This is S.K. Williams, here to announce my plans for the year 2026. Some of these plans are tentative, and I will be making another such video in a few weeks. But for now, here are my plans. As anyone who has been following this channel, which is precious few people, will know, and for those who don't know, I'm explaining now, I was locked out of my Gaggle account for the last 7 months. I have been posting on Ramble and on the Shoot a Bit. And yes, I am using false names because I am still under scrutiny here on our delicate host network. Al Gore keeps his close eye upon me to protect his rhythm. As a result, many of my comments go missing. They vanish. And while my comments tend to be safer and I'm able to leave longer comments on my own channel, I'm not willing to risk the existence of the channel by hiring our hosts too much. Fortunately, the channel is monitored by Intelligence Synthetica, which means that if I use an odd tone of voice, if I slur my words here or there, and if I use euphemisms and different discrete descriptions, it will, at least for now, leave me alone, because it doesn't understand what it is that I'm saying, because Intelligence Synthetica is a misnomer. We do not have genuine Intelligence Synthetica. We have pattern recognition software that has become incredibly sophisticated and can mimic, but not truly understand, things like human speech. Nevertheless, to rectify the problems with communications, I intend on creating a new channel where the primary purpose will be to allow me to post comments. This, of course, means that I won't need to actually post videos on that other channel, because it only exists for me to comment on, but I always think it a waste if you don't post any videos at all on a channel, so I probably will be posting some videos over there, but I haven't decided on what variety. It may just be AI slop over there. It doesn't really matter so long as I can have a channel that allows me to comment more freely. Having said that, though, I also intend on creating another channel for my premiere project, which I had hoped to retain upon this channel, but which I shall now have to relegate to its own channel. And that will be the Bishop's Bible videos, where I am reading the Bishop's Bible in animated form. I will go into greater detail about that for those who don't know about the project, and will create a new introduction video and a few other videos when I create that channel. But it will premiere in 2025 at Advent. But the Bishop's Bible will begin loading, with some exceptions, in the year of our Lord 2026. Which is not my original plan. My original plan was to load the entire Bishop's Bible over a 3-year period, with the Old Testament in 2025, the Apocrypha in 2026, and in 2027, the New Testament. But now I'm going to be thrown off a year. To be fair, this is not entirely the two of you's fault. It is largely their fault. They did lock me out, and I wasn't able to post on the site. Hence why I've taken to odd pauses here and there, and again slurring words and a few other tricks that I must use. Still, I can't really say that the entire thing was so great a tragedy after all, since I was unable to complete the Old Testament postings elsewhere, because I have been posting on Ramble and on the Shoot a Bit, albeit much more intermittently on the Shoot a Bit because I can't schedule it. But on Ramble, I also did my Bishop's Bible videos, and I wasn't able to maintain it because of certain other issues that got in the way of filming them. I honestly should have organized this better, but I didn't. So even had I not been locked out of the two of you, I would have fallen behind on the Bishop's Bible videos, which hopefully I shan't do next year, when I restart the project. It will also give me an excuse to restart without having to go completely back over and remake the videos in some way. Because when I reload them, I always modify them to make certain I don't get a warning of duplication, or to make certain that there's some justification for having it up now instead of later. But if it's on a new channel, I could simply post exactly the same thing. It's a mirror to it, which is what I shall largely be doing. I am going to post the Old Testament, all of the videos, starting anew on a new channel. And I will load them as I had planned on doing this year, where for 6 days a week I shall release 3 chapters of the Bishop's Bible. And on Saturday I will release 1 psalm of the Great Bible. For those who don't know, the Great Bible Psalms were incorporated into the Bishop's Bible. The Bishop's Bible did have its own translation of the Psalms, but people found them difficult to sing. So, in later editions of the Bishop's Bible, the Great Bible Psalms were added, at first as a complement to the Bishop's Bible Psalms, and later as a replacement to them. So, the Great Bible Psalms, while written for another Bible, are nevertheless both part of the Bishop's Bible and independent from it. And I include that distinction both in how I make the videos before I even decided on the scheduling, because you'll notice that I'm inside of a church, behind a pulpit, reading the Psalms rather than standing in the churchyard set of the Old Testament, for example. But at the same time, they are included. And the same is being followed within the schedule. If it's the actual Bishop's Bible, then it will be read from Sunday through Friday. If it is the Great Bible Psalms, they will be on Saturday. Following this pattern, I should have the entire Old Testament completed by the end of the year. I will go into greater detail about my scheduling in a future video, but for now, this is the general gist of it. The Bishop's Bible channel, I haven't decided on the name for it yet, or if it is going to be dedicated exclusively to the Bishop's Bible project, or if I will add other projects to it. Though I should note that the Bishop's Bible project does have supplementary and complementary materials that I am adding to it as well. And I may very well have other things added to the channel, which is what makes it difficult to name it, because I had thought to name it the Bishop's Bible or something with the Bishop's Bible in it, but if I add other Bibles and other scriptures like the Quran and the Book of Mormon, would that be a fitting name? Still, I have a little time. But that channel will be dedicated, at least for now, only to the Bishop's Bible Project, and anything I do on that channel will be ultimately related in some way to the Bishop's Bible Project, if not to the Bishop's Bible itself. And I'm also thinking about creating yet another channel. This channel will be for video content that hopefully won't be placed under quite as much scrutiny as my current channel is. This will still be a quite separate channel from the one that I create just to comment with. But it will allow me to talk about some of the topics that I want to talk about slightly more freely, since I'm on the two of you's naughty list. Even though I don't use vulgar language or call for violence, I am nevertheless considered one of those right-wingers, a Christian conservative and Trumpist MAGA, and that frightens them. And it doesn't really matter what I'm actually like. They only really think in these binary terms anyway. I'm either going to be left-wing or right-wing. I'm either going to be MAGA or not MAGA. I'm either going to be this evil right-wing Christian conservative or not. And my actual views don't fit neatly into the modern discourse. For example, I resent being called a Christian conservative, precisely because it uses Christian as the modifier to tell what sort of conservative I am, as if what is important about me is that I'm a conservative, and I happen to be a Christian version of that, as if conservative is more my main identity. In reality, my Christianity is more important to me than my conservatism. And I think you'll find that even the word conservative is problematic. Well, it's problematic with everyone. Then again, so is the word liberal. I've never really liked those sorts of terms, but my problem with most of them is how generic they are and how people tend to apply definitions of those words rather than address the ideas people are actually bringing up. But when it comes to Christian conservative, the more common one you hear today, it does really place the political element as the central identity, and I really don't like that, because my politics is not central to me so much as my Christianity would be. Having said that, I really should tell you a little more about this other channel I'm creating, but I don't know the details yet. I do know that many of the videos I would have made for this channel are being made instead for that other channel because it lacks the scrutiny. However, I will have to come up with a way of making certain that that channel also doesn't fall under scrutiny. So I will be using the same euphemisms and odd language, and I'll think of another way of making it different. But a lot of the same things that I intended on doing with this channel until I was blocked, or really until I was threatened. For example, there was this atheist who made a hate video about me, and I made a response video, and I had to not actually load that response video because the two of you got me for hate speech, even though I was just responding to the hate someone else gave me. Still, and bringing it up, of course, will get me accused of the Christian persecution complex. And when hear atheists talk about how persecution is baked into the Christian religion, Christians are told they'll be persecuted so they look for it, and how they interpret mere disagreement as hate, and then they'll blame me and my content. But really, if you look up Scarlett the Atheist, she made a video about me, and It's very uncharitable and dishonest, but I can't tell you why because my video channel might be deleted if I do. That's not a persecution complex. That is a bias. I mean, she outright accused me of doing things like the Gish-Gallop, and I didn't. I simply listed a group of atheist slogans that I've heard before and told her everything is scripted. And she brought up that I said it was scripted. But she acted like I was simply accusing atheists of scripted dialogue, but didn't show any evidence. I instead then launched into a tirade where I had an imaginary conversation with her because she lives rent-free in my head, and where I did the Gish-Gallop, which is me trying to win by attrition by throwing out multiple arguments, and really all I did was quote a bunch of atheist slogans I had heard before. And let's face it, atheists do use a lot of slogans. The community that prides itself on being free thinkers who are all independent and different all talk in exactly the same way. The moment you hear them talk about God, they will compare him to Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy. They will bring up leprechauns and unicorns, and it will always be Santa Claus, Tooth Fairy, leprechauns, and unicorns. It will always be those examples, because those are the examples they heard other atheists in their echo chamber use. You hear the same slogans, like, I want to believe as many true things as possible and as few false things, which came from Matt Dillahunty. You will hear slogans like, no hate, like Christian love. You will hear slogans like, atheism is a religion, like not collecting stamps is a hobby. I know exactly what an atheist will tell me nowadays if they're going to tell me about how religion is fiction and I'm immoral for believing in God. I know all the arguments, and I know word for word what they're going to tell me. And the reason I know that isn't because I'm obsessed with the individual atheist that I'm talking to, and they live rent-free in my head, and I have a fictional conversation with them. It's because none of them say anything original. They're just quoting what other atheists say. There's only so many times you can be accused of being a perfect example of Dunning-Kruger before you can predict that the atheist you're talking to will accuse you of being a perfect example of Dunning-Kruger. There is only so many times I can hear about how the reason I don't realize what the atheist is saying is true is because I suffer from cognitive biases. And when shown evidence that the Bible has contradictions in it, or God is immoral in the Bible, or that my religion is irrational and doesn't make sense, then I suffer from cognitive dissonance. And I refuse to accept the truth even when it's in front of me, forcing me to come up with an ad hoc explanation. There's only so many times you can hear that without realizing that the atheist telling you this is not making an individual observation, but is instead getting it out of the atheist community. And that was really the point I was making with her, but I couldn't respond because the two of you decided that was hateful. Probably because I threw in my own jokes and snide remarks, but keep in mind I was defending myself. But I shan't go into detail about that, precisely because if I do, it still might happen. I'm only bringing it up here, not because I'm bitter about it, but to make a point, because I think it traces back to that incident to a large degree. Atheists have more free ability to use words than I do as a Christian. The system is geared to overwhelmingly attack right-wing, conservative, or Christian views, especially what it deems as Christian conservative views and white Christian nationalism, which of course is any Christian view that they decide to demonize. And there have been studies on this. I'm not making it up. It's not the Christian persecution complex. It is real. The tube of view overwhelmingly blocks, prevents, doesn't like, doesn't allow right-wing or conservative or Christian views on certain topics. Although, since it's run by Al Gore and his rhythm, since what is actually powering the site is a computer program. It doesn't actually like or dislike anything. It is simply executing its commands. And it's been modified over time without fully removing other elements. So oftentimes the people programming it don't really know how Al Gore and his rhythm will actually respond to their prompts. They do program it to favor one view over another and to delegitimate certain views, what they would call de-radicalization. Because if you're right-wing and conservative, you're radical. But really, it's created odd results in some ways. Sometimes it takes down left-wing views, for instance, because it thinks they're right-wing. And sometimes it'll take down left-wing views just to appear less biased than it is, or because the people who run it don't like it. But it also operates on an economic system that says engagement is what drives the revenue stream. So if you, for instance, had a conservative presence that became very popular before the current Al Gore and his rhythm were implemented, it will treat you differently than it treats smaller channels. It's primarily trying to prevent conservative channels from growing. But those that are already fairly big, it wants to shrink them, of course. But it will add less of a penalty because at the end of the day, even though the powers that be would prefer them to be replaced with something like BreadTube, they still make money, so they're allowed to do more and get away with more than smaller channels. So I have to be careful when mapping out this new channel. I don't know exactly what will be on it, but it will be much of the same sort of content I was trying to create here. And keep in mind, I was never a great or steady or consistent tuba viewer. But that's okay. It'll mostly be just commentary on various topics. And I may create 2 such channels, one for specific religious beliefs and one for general commentary. But having said all that, what will I do with this channel? Will I delete it? No, I have no plans on deleting it. Will I simply let it go dormant? No, I plan on continuing to use it. I haven't figured that out yet either, but I will continue to make certain videos for this channel. Largely advertisements for other videos that I make for elsewhere. But I will occasionally make some sort of comedy video or story video or something that might be more innocuous. But I will continue to use this channel from time to time. Still, most of my real content will not be on To Review anyway. It will be on Ramble and to some extent on the Shoot a Bit. And if I ever remember my credentials, or if I just bite the bullet and create a new one, on Dailymotion. Yes, I know, it's not well used these days, but it's still there. I may also use other platforms' video for future releases, one in which I didn't have to quite talk so awkwardly. And I will let you know if I do make those choices. If not here on Ramble. But largely this channel will be reduced to an advertisement platform for the videos that I post on Ramble, which I intend on improving the quality of. I've said that before, though, and things get in the way in life. That is the way things are sometimes. Still, I intend on doing some very good commentary on Ramble, and I intend on telling you about it here without necessarily showing it to you. But I will be putting certain videos on the Two of You, and part of the reason for that will be to test it, because, as I said, I've heard they've adjusted Al Gore and his rhythm again. Perhaps they have. I know that they have restored the monetization to the remnant. I know that certain other channels claim to have gotten a little freer, but I will approach the situation with caution. I will announce further when I create my new channels, and when I announce the new channels, I will also do something I've never done before on this channel. I will disable comments because certain people enjoy causing pain and suffering. You see, when I announce that I have a new channel, I won't tell the name of the channel on this channel, because if I do, Al Gore might track it. I will be announcing it on Ramble. That way, when I announce it here, it'll be to say, I have a new channel. Go to Ramble to find out more information. And I don't want one of those less than kind people, who claim, of course, to be kind all the time, to go over to Ramble, find out what the name of my new channel is, and then post it in the comments section. They, of course, they can post it in the comment section of other videos. This isn't foolproof, but it is what it is. I don't have much else to say for now. I will create another update video later. But until then, I shall take my leave of you now. Thank you, God bless, and goodbye.